The following is a production of Medfield TV.
Over this side.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, introducing Mr. Jackson. Yay!
Thank you guys. I think we got a new tradition,
Yeah.
right?
Everyone gets throw grass confetti.
How's everybody doing this summer?
Good.
Yeah? Everyone having a good summer? Look at that.
Whoa.
Is that good and piratey?
I didn't expect that.
No?
Yeah,
Hey,
neither.
me either. My good friend Mike just brought this up. I always like to ask how everybody's doing. Did I do that yet?
Yeah.
And you guys said good? Everybody say good?
Yeah.
Is anyone having a miserable summer? No? Good. Has anyone gone anywhere special?
I have. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I like to know where people travel. Where'd you go?
We went to North Carolina.
Oh, North
Yeah.
Carolina.
Oh, and then after that, we went to New Hampshire and went to Santa's Village.
What? Was Santa there or was he on vacation?
I think Santa was there. We just lost track of time and forgot to see.
Oh, he forgot.
Yeah. But we still went on a lot of rides.
You'll see him, right? He's coming.
Yeah, besides, I think it's a little too early to do this. Yeah. That's like
Santa in July.
Yeah.
How about anybody else? Anybody else go anywhere?
Not even.
Where'd you go? You went to Connecticut. Remember the name? And what?
It was actually Nantucket.
Oh, Nantucket.
Nantucket's good too.
How was Nantucket? Take a boat. Where did you fly? Anybody else? Was it icy? Was there ice there? There was? What's that? All green. Was it beautiful? Waterfall? That sounds beautiful. Did you like it? Very lucky. Did I hear that Iceland was called Iceland because they didn't want people to go? Did you hear that? It's called Iceland. Someone went to Iceland and said it's really an amazing place. We should tell everybody to come here. So we'll keep it a secret and we'll call it a place that nobody will want to go. So they called it Iceland. Who want to go there? I guess some people would.
Yeah.
All right, so we get started?
Yeah.
Yeah? What are we all here for?
A candle hunt.
What? A treasure hunt? Is that what you heard? It's going to be a treasure hunt?
Treasure.
I thought you guys were here for school.
Yeah. We're here for I was excited for that part too.
Oh, okay. Well, who's staying for stories?
Me.
All right.
And treasure hunt.
All right. Well, we'll see about the treasure hunt. We'll see what good listeners you are.
Okay.
Right?
We'll be the best listeners ever.
If you're not a good listener, you can't find treasure, right? You got to have a good ear, and you got to have good eyes, and a good sense of maybe We'll see. We'll see. All right, so let me get started. If you don't know who I am, anybody know who I am? I was introduced. I'm Kurt Jackson. I am a bird watcher. No. I'm a fisherman.
No.
I'm a pirate.
No. Yes.
No?
You're a storyteller.
Oh, that's right. I get confused sometimes. So I have a couple of stories for you guys.
Yay.
And you guys could maybe help me to see if we can find something around. Okay? All right. So my first story I would like to tell, and it's who came to my last storytelling, which was in the spring. And what was my promise?
I forget.
Because we came up with the idea then, right?
Yeah.
We said, because I told the people who were here, the kids who were here, I said, I told them about my very first story, and that I wasn't, remember I said, I didn't really know I was a storyteller, and one day I was at camp, and I asked the kids if they sat down, because we were over at Hale Reservation, and we were out in the outside, and so it's tough to sit down and eat lunch because there was so many things going on around them. So finally I said to them, if you guys can sit the whole time and eat your lunch, I will not, because I would read them a story. I said, I won't read you a story, I will tell you a story. And they did. They did a great job. And then I was like, I have to come up with a story to tell. And so this is a story that I told and it starts off with a long time ago, there was a kingdom. And the kingdom, it had a king, and it had a queen. Who said that? Aha! Yes, it had a queen. And the queen, and the king, they had a daughter, and she was a princess. Her name was Princess Mariah. And Princess Mariah was brave, she was beautiful, she loved adventure. So every morning, one thing I should tell you, is the king and the queen, they were very good to the people of the kingdom. And, they would always look out and know what the people would need, and whatever they would need, they would try to provide for them. And so that's really, really important to the story. Well, anyway, Princess Mariah, just about every day around noon, when the chapel bells rang, she would go off and go hiking into the woods. And she would bring her best friend with her. Her best friend was Sparrow, and Sparrow was a bird. And they would walk through the woods, and she'd put on her adventure clothes, and off she would go. And Sparrow sometimes would fly ahead, and come back, and see them. And he would tell Princess Mariah what he saw up ahead. And they did this. Now, one day, Princess Mariah, now the king and queen, remember I told you that they were very good, the people of the kingdom. You remember that part? Well, the people of the kingdom decided that they wanted a place that they could go in the summertime for a vacation. And they didn't know where they could go. So they thought about Connecticut, and they thought about Nantucket, and they said, well, Nantucket's great, but we need our own island. And the queen, who was a very wise woman, she said, well, there's this beautiful island out in the middle of the ocean. And I think that we should, it's my most favorite island. And I think we should make that the island that everyone can go for vacation. And we could have rides for the kids, horse-drawn rides, and we could have free babysitting. And when the people heard about this, they thought, this is great. So they made this beautiful, wonderful, fantastic island. And they put all this stuff on it, and that's where people went for vacation. And they called it Funland. And the people were happy. Now, as for Princess Mariah, let me get back to her. So she one day was on an adventure, and she met a man who happened to be a West. And they shared stories back and forth, and they really enjoyed each other's company. So they decided that every day when the chapel bells would ring, that they would meet and they would go off on an adventure. So they did, and they did this for many years until one day. Well, his name was Steven. And Stevenson, he got down on one knee. And he said, Princess Mariah. And she said, yes, Sir Stevenson. Princess Mariah. Wait a minute. Something I didn't tell you. All right. Remember that place where everyone loved to go on vacation? What was it called? Funland. Well, not too far was a place where pirates loved to hang out. And it was called Pirate's Cove. And now, whenever they needed things at Funland, it was Sparrow's job. Sparrow's job was, when he wasn't on an adventure with Princess Mariah, he would fly back and forth from Funland to the kingdom. Whenever people needed something, Sparrow would fly back, tell the kingdom what they needed, and then he would let them know that the kingdom was going to send it. And they would send it by way of ship, right? Well, every once in a while, as the ship was sailing past, the ship would hear going on with the ship. The pirate. Well, the pirate, which was led by none other than the evil Captain Who was his name. Yeah. Captain Who would invade the ship, and he would steal whatever it was that they were taking over to Funland and bring it back to Pirate's Cove. So remember this. Now, where were we? Oh, yes. Princess Mariah. Yes, Sir Stevenson. Princess Mariah. Wait a minute. I have to tell you a little bit about Stevenson. Now, Stevenson, it's good to have a little background, right? Well, Stevenson, he actually, when he was a kid, he happened to be on a ship that was invaded by pirates. And when the pirates invaded the ship, if they wanted the ship, they would bring it back to Pirate's Cove, and if they didn't want the ship, well, they would sink it. And if there were any kids on that ship, well, they would take the kids back to Pirate's Cove, and they would send them to pirate camp. And they would turn them into
Pirates. Evil pirates.
Now, Stevenson was one of those kids who was brought back to Pirate's Cove and was trained in becoming a pirate. He learned everything he knew. You guys know what it takes to be a pirate? What do you need to know to become a pirate?
You need to know how to steer a ship and raise the sails.
Okay, so you got to know how to steer a ship and raise the sails. What else do you have to know to be a pirate?
To get a boat.
You got to know how to get a boat. Very
be a
good.
sword?
Oh, and some sword play.
Maybe
Yes,
not.
so he was taught by Captain Who himself how to sword fight. Well, as he got older, and he found out all the horrible things that pirates would do sometimes, well, he decided he didn't want to be a pirate. So, in the middle of the night, he snuck away out of pirate. And he made it. And then he made a home in the woods, not too far. And he became an archer. You guys know what an archer is? Ah, yes. He became an archer, king and queen. Now you know a little history about Stephen. So where were we?
Oh yeah, the Mary.
Oh!
Yeah.
So, Princess Mariah. Yes, Sir Stevenson. Princess Mariah, will you marry me?
What?
Well, Princess Mariah had known him for a long time. They got along well. They got each other's jokes, and they enjoyed each other's company. So, of course, she said, so she ran back to the kingdom. She told her mother and father, the king and queen, about the good news. But there was a problem. There was a rule in the kingdom that no one could ever marry a pirate or an ex-pirate. And who happened to be an ex-pirate? Stevenson. Well, the king and queen, they knew he was a good man. They said he must prove his loyalty. So the queen, being a wise woman, she said, just the other day, there was a shipment of gold that was stolen by the pirates. If Stevenson can go to Pirates Cove, get the gold back before the next day when the chapel bells rang, marry. So she went, she told Stevenson, he came back, and he vowed before the king and queen that he would go to Pirates Cove and he would get the gold back. So he gathered his men, his other archers, and they went down to the harbor. And now Princess Mariah, what was her most favorite thing to do? What did she love?
Going on adventures.
She loved going on adventures. So she went to the king and queen and she said, Mom and Dad, please, may I go with him? And they said, no, it is too dangerous. Please, please, I'll do anything. I'll clean my room. And they said, okay, but be careful. So she put on her adventure clothes. She went down to the harbor, and just as the ship was sailing out, she ran and she jumped onto the ship. She made it, and off they sailed. Now, being ex-pirate knew a secret way to get into pirate. And that night, and they went right up and ordered his men to slide their planks. They had been up the night before partying and got all that gold, right? So all of a sudden, Sir Stevenson said, attack! And they attacked. And swords were drawn, and there was the biggest battle ever in Pirates Cove. Now, well, guess what happened?
What?
Took off out of Pirates Cove and they sailed back and made it back for the next day when the chapel bells rang. And Sir Stevenson and Princess Maria, well, guess what? They got married. And guess what?
What?
They lived.
Happily ever after.
All right. I got another story for you.
Yay!
Okay, this story is, it's about a man. It's called The Man Who Bought a Dream. And again, a long time ago, there was a man who was heading to town with a friend. And the village that they were going to was far away, and it took a couple days to get there. And they were halfway there, and they were in their tent. And the man that morning woke up early in the morning, and he looked at his friend, and his friend was laying there. He's sleeping. Well, as his friend was sleeping, he kind of mumbled something. And then he went. And when he opened his mouth, a bee flew out of his mouth, flew around the tent and out the door. So the man thought that this was very unusual. So when his friend woke up, he said, "Did you have a dream?" He said, "I did have a dream." He said, "Well, tell me about your dream." And his friend told him that he dreamed about a place called Osaka. And in Osaka, there was a mountain. And at the base of the mountain, there was a mansion. And in the mansion, there was a man whose name was Kiba-san. And in the backyard of the mansion, there was a tree, and underneath the tree, in the ground, there was a treasure. So the man thought that, again, this was unusual, and he decided that he wanted to buy a dream. So he said, "I will buy your dream for you." And his friend thought that he had lost his marbles. He said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I believe that if I follow this dream, that there will be a fortune. So I will buy your dream." And, well, his friend, after going back and forth and telling him he thought he was crazy, he finally took the last of the man's money and let him buy his dream. So the man who bought a dream went back home, never made it to the village. He went back home, and he was so excited, he opened the door, and his wife said, did you go to market to get the things I told you to get? And he said, "No, I have something better." And she said, "Well, what do you have?" He said, I have a dream." He said, "What? What do you mean you have a dream?" And he told her the story of how he was sleeping, and he woke up, and his friend was sleeping, and the beam came out of his mouth, and he knew that there was something behind this dream, so he bought the dream, and he believes that there is a fortune if he follows this dream. And again, his wife said, "You've lost your marbles." Well, she got very angry with him. But the next morning, he knew he had to follow his dream. So he got up that morning. He made himself a small bag, and he put some food in it, and he headed off. And he walked and he walked and he walked until he came to the town of Osaka. Now, when he got into the town of Osaka, he went and he asked all the people. He said, "I'm looking for a wealthy man. His name is Kiba-san." So the people pointed him into the direction where this man lived. And sure enough, there was a mansion. And he looked in the back, And in the back of the house, he could see nothing. So he went and he knocked on the door. Then he realized that there was a doorbell in right. And soon the door opened and a servant came to the door. He said, "May I help you?" He said, "Yes, I'm looking for Peter-san. Does he live here?" He said, "Yes, but he is not home. You must come back later." He said, "Okay." So the man who bought a dream, he went back to town, just kind of walked around and observed the people and ate the last of the food. And then, near the end of the day, he went back to the mansion and again knocked on the door. So the doorbell, ding, ding. And again the door opened, the servant came to the door. He said, "Kiba-san is home, I believe." So he walked into this beautiful room. And there was this long dining room table. And at one end, there was a man. And it was Kiba-san. Kiba-san had him sit down and had a fine meal, the best meal he had ever had. And while he ate his dinner, he told Kiba-san why he was there and about his dream. And then he asked Kiba-san if there was a large tree in his backyard. Kiba-san said, "There is." He said, "I believe that at the base of that tree, there is treasure." Kiba-san said, "In the morning, we shall dig, we shall see, we can find what it is that he said is there." So he put the man up in a room that evening. And the man was so excited, he finally fell asleep. But as for Kiba-san, he stayed awake. And he thought, is there really treasure? So in the middle of the night, he got some servants. He went out to the backyard, and there he saw the large tree, and he had them dig. They dug and they dug and they dug until finally, they hit something. They got down on their hands, and sure enough, it was a large container. Kiba-san said, "I cannot believe this." Well, when they opened up the container, out flew a bee. Flew around and then flew away. And they looked inside the container, and it was
B.
Kiba-san couldn't believe it. And then he began to laugh. He said, "Ha ha ha ha! I am a fool out here in the middle of the night, digging for treasure, and I am the wealthiest man here." But he told the servant to put the box back into the ground and be buried. And then that morning, the man who walked with him woke up, and it was very exciting. He went back into the backyard, and sure enough, he saw the tree. And they began to dig. They dug and they dug. The digging was much easier this time. And they dug, and finally, the man who bought a dream was so excited. He said, "It was here." So they went in and they cleared it off, and sure enough, there was the box. When he opened up the box, a few things. That's one guess. Anybody else have a guess? Fortune. Anybody else think anything?
A bee.
There was no bee, and there was no treasure. And the man who bought a dream, his partner, couldn't believe it. He said, "I've traced the dream to a T. I came to Osaka, I found the mountain, I found the mansion, there's the tree. Why? What is happening?" Well, that morning he was very sad. He thanked Kiba-san. Headed back home. He walked and he walked, trying to figure out what had gone wrong. So, he finally got home. And when he got home, his wife had not seen him in days. He was running up. She said, "Where have you been?" He told her about the adventure he had gone. She said, "While you were gone, I kept hearing noise up in the attic. It was a buzzing noise. So finally I couldn't take it anymore. So I went up and I opened up the attic door. And when I opened up the attic door, a bee flew out. And then gold coin rolled out and down the stairs. And then another. And then another and another and another. And when she opened up the door to their home, the floor was completely covered with gold. They were no longer poor. So, what do you think happened?
He got free.
Did?
I think I know what happened to Kiba-san. So I think in my head I think he's a vampire. And he must have tricked the guy and he put the coins in the attic and in the middle of the night before they dug. I think I know what happened.
Thank you, Rico. Alternate ending. I like that.
Wait, now it's my turn.
Rico,
to
by
be
the way,
funny
is
guy.
a storyteller. He loves making up stories. How about anybody else? Anybody else have a thought of what made it happen?
He's raising his hand.
What do you think? Hmm? Say it again. Mansion. What about it? Why do you think, let me ask you this. Why do you think when Kiba-san opened up the chest, why was there... Was it his dream?
Yes.
No, it was not Kiba-san's dream. Whose dream was it? It was the man who bought a unit. And do you think that bee kind of was in charge of the treasure? And made sure that it was supposed to go to the right person? Right? Okay, so we all did a good job. So now, I know, but I wanted to save time. Is that okay?
Yeah!
Okay. So, here are your directions. Somewhere in this last movie, think you're going to find that was symbolic in this last story that I told you. What was symbolic in this story? What was the symbol? A bee. So I would say, okay, if you find something that looks like a bee, not a real bee, okay, what I want you to do is pick it up, okay, and bring it right, okay, there should be about 4. You guys ready?
Uh-huh.
Pirates ready?
Yeah!
Ryan and Owen. You want to grab them?
All right, so don't run. Just walk.
They're sitting on the
Your
bed.
eyes,
Oh, they're coming.
ears, and your nose.
Let me hold this. I'll hold this.
Just stay in the grass area.
In the grass area, close to the baby.
Oh, we got another one. We got some more. All right, everyone, come on over. Okay, you open that. Yep. Open that one. Yep. Carefully. See arrows. What do you see? What? Oh, we're gonna put it down here and see if you can get it together. What do you have? Hey, bring yours over. I think these guys are trying to figure this thing out. Who's got the fourth one?
The hobby kids
Oh,
are
you got it
trying to
open?
figure out this mystery. And they uncovered it. What do you think, Combo?
Oh, nice work. That go right there. Hey, look at that. You guys see that? There's this one here. See where that one goes. Oh, let's open this one all the way up. Over there. See what they see. Does anybody have any tape? Anyone have any tape?
No.
That go there? Yeah, where's the other piece? Open that one. Oh, wait. Right? Yeah. Oh, wait. Is that right?
Yeah!
Oh, and there's an X. All right, put the other piece.
Hey, this is Jackson.
Yeah. Oh. Hold on, you guys hold that part down. All right, what does this look like? A treasure map. Well, what's the treasure map of?
Wait, I think we have to go in the line there.
Is that the line?
Maybe you got some zero.
Where is there a compass here?
No, there's not a
And what are these?
I think that might be
And what are these?
maybe.
There's a tree, a white tree, and there's some rocks.
Is it the church? Oh, it's something else. Oh, there.
Is that it? Is that the tree? All right. So all right, come back. Wait, come back, because that's not where the X is. We have to turn this all the way to right? All right, let's try this. X marks the spot, right?
Mr. Jackson, big emergency! Everyone, those guys are going over there!
That's not where the X is. We gotta follow where the X is.
Yeah!
So we know that's the tree. So what is this area? This one? Well, I see a tree
Hey, that
over
was
there, and I see the block that you sit on.
the
That
library!
makes this
Oh,
That's the gazebo, right? Does the gazebo have one?
Just so you know, the gazebo is not. I'm gonna go at the back with me. It's in the library.
I see. What are these? Let's go look. Let's go look.
Yeah, let's go.
I think it's in front of the library.
Let's go.
Oh, you found the compass! Ah, I see this, guys. Look at it. You guys know what this is? The balcony. So what's in front of the balcony? On the ground. Let's go to the in front of the balcony. Now let me tell you, pirates usually left some type of a symbol somewhere around that said, huh? Sure. That's a plate. And that's a feather. Look around for another pirate symbol. And it's usually not. Look what you found. We found it! Good. Don't bang, don't bang. You feel something behind it? That would be silly. It's a key? Oh, all right, be careful. But is it the key? All right, let's come over here to the gazebo. Hold on, wait a minute. Oh, who lost this?
Oh, that's mine.
Okay, before we open this up, we have to make a pirate pact. That is a promise. Whatever it is, well, the promise, we're trying to make up a promise. What should we do with whatever is in it?
Right, get you. Share it.
Ah, wait, who said that word? What is it?
We should share it. But what about, I think gold.
Does everyone agree? Should we share whatever's in there? All right. If it's a B, we should share it? All right, everyone raise your right hand. Say I, and then say pirate, and whatever your name is. Promise to share whatever we find in this treasure box. Okay.
See what it is? Oh, snap!
We got one to go.
Everybody,
Here you go. So we all back up again. All right, everybody back up. I'll open it. All right, everybody back up so you're touching the railing.
Everybody touch the railing.
I'll show you when we get it open. Who's got the key? Go. Okay, everybody back up.
Everybody back up.
If everyone backs up, you'll all be able to see. All right, who's got the key? All right, good. Back up. All the way back. Oh, he's spinning.
You two, please back up. Please, a big photo bomb. I know. Oh, Rico, you guys all need to back up.
All right, I'm gonna look. Let's see which one has all the kids backed up. These guys all here, and you can't stand in front of them. They're already there. Ready? come around and show everybody she's standing there.
I can't hear you. Lollipop!
Not just lollipop. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to look who is against the railing. If you take a marble, you'll have it forever. If you take a lollipop, you'll only have it until it's gone.
Why is it gone? You eat it. We get to eat it.
Stay where you are. I'm going to come around so everybody has a choice.
The preceding was a production of Medfield TV.